After 12 years of full-time travel, people always ask me, how do you decide where you're going next? The truth is, my process has evolved a lot. When I started, I was overthinking everything, researching every detail, trying to optimize every choice. Now, it's much more intuitive, but that doesn't mean I'm winging it. I've developed a framework that helps me evaluate destinations quickly while still making decisions that work for remote work. And today, I'm breaking down exactly how I decide where to travel, the factors I consider, the research I do, and how I balance planning with flexibility. Whether you're planning your first nomad destination or your 50th, this framework will help you make better decisions faster. Let me walk you through how my partner Kevin and I actually plan our year, because I think this context matters. We start with the fixed dates. Things like conferences, speaking events, and time with family. These are non-negotiable anchor points in our calendar. For example, we typically spend summers in Bulgaria. That's been consistent for 5 years now. We also know we'll be in Thailand for about a month many years, usually around October or November. This timing coincides with conferences we like to attend. Next, we pick a few places we're really interested in. These are either new countries we want to explore for the first time, or favorites we want to return to and get to know more deeply. This year, Seychelles was on that list we've been wanting to visit for a while. Then comes the interesting part, filling in the gaps between point A and point B. This is where the framework really comes into play. We ask ourselves a few questions. How much time do we have between these two fixed points? Are there good flight options? Should we extend our time in one of those two destinations? If not, what other destinations make sense logistically? And do those destinations work for remote work, or do we want to take some time off? Let me give you a real example. This year, we're in the Maldives in April, and we need to be in Bulgaria by June. We have around 4 to 5 weeks available in between. We looked at flight options using miles that were going to expire otherwise, and we found a great deal between Kazakhstan and Bulgaria. Kazakhstan is a country we haven't visited yet, and because it's so big, it's not somewhere we wanted to pass through for a quick trip. So, spending a month there makes perfect sense. Before we settled on Kazakhstan as our likely destination and moved on to other stages of research, we checked 2 other critical things: visas and weather. Can we get an e-visa or visa on arrival easily? Can we stay as long as we want to without additional visa complications? How does the weather look in May? Luckily, spring. It won't be too cold. This is how most of our planning works. It's strategic, but flexible. We're not starting from scratch every time. We're using a framework to evaluate options quickly. Once I have a potential destination in mind, here are the key factors I actually evaluate. And I want to be honest, after 12 years, a lot of this is intuitive. But when I break it down, these are the things I'm considering. Safety is obviously important, but I want to be clear. I don't think safety should stop you from traveling to most places. I haven't skipped destinations specifically for safety concerns, but I do take different precautions depending on where I am. For example, walking alone at night in Bangkok feels very different than walking alone at night in most of South America. My approach: be generally aware, but don't let fear stop you from exploring. Most places are safer than you think. I use a combination of resources to get an idea about safety. Government travel advisories, but take them with a grain of salt. Politics play a role. Nomads.com and Facebook groups like Every Passport Stamp. And most importantly, talking to people I've met who have been there recently. Wi-Fi quality is crucial if you're working remotely. My minimum requirement is 5 megabit per second speeds, but honestly, I prefer a bit faster, and speed doesn't necessarily equal stability. The challenge is, it's tough to research Wi-Fi fully before arriving. Here's what I do anyway. Check nomads.com for general Wi-Fi ratings. Talk to friends who have been there. And hunt through Airbnb reviews. You typically won't find exact speeds listed, but you can generally get a sense of if the Wi-Fi is decent or problematic. I've occasionally asked Airbnb hosts to run speed tests, but I don't think it's super reliable. You don't know for sure what network they're testing. My backup plan is crucial. I almost always get an eSIM before arriving. If I expect good Wi-Fi, I might just buy 1 to 5 gigabytes for the month. And yes, Kevin and I have worked entire months primarily from Wi-Fi hotspots. It's not ideal, but it works. And we don't always get it right. We recently spent a month in Djibouti, and the Wi-Fi situation was not great. We didn't research it enough ahead of time. While it ended up being an amazing experience as tourists, I wouldn't choose to work from there again unless things change significantly. For cost of living, I head straight to Airbnb and look at accommodation prices. That gives me a quick sense of whether a place fits our budget because accommodation is one of our biggest monthly expenses. My average accommodation budget is $700, and Kevin contributes the same amount toward our housing. Some months we're over budget on accommodation and some months we're under. The goal is for it to average out over the year. The important thing, even with this relatively modest budget, most places are not too expensive for us to consider. If somewhere seems pricey, we'll debate if we can lower our accommodation standards or stay somewhere nearby that's more affordable. We also have hotel points that we can dip into when it makes sense. For example, a couple of years ago, we wanted to spend a month in Wellington, New Zealand. Accommodation prices were a little high, so instead of booking accommodation in Wellington, we stayed in nearby Petone, which is well connected by public transit and less expensive. I'm pretty flexible with weather, but I do have preferences. My ideal temperature range is 60 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit with medium humidity maximum. I prefer less rain, but a bit is fine. I actually love traveling during shoulder season. You still get good weather most days, but it's less crowded and tends to be less expensive. And when you're somewhere for a month, a couple of rainy days won't ruin the trip. The only deal breaker, I don't like being too cold for too long. So I'd skip Kazakhstan in January, but May, perfect. Community can be tricky to assess ahead of time, especially for less common destinations. In established nomad hubs like Mexico City, Bali, or Chiang Mai, you know there will be community. But in quieter places, it's harder to know. We'll look for Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, co-working spaces, and nomads.com data. But honestly, we spend enough time in busy nomad hubs like Bonsko and Bangkok that it's okay when we're somewhere quieter. Plus, after 12 years, we have nomad friends all over the world. We run into people everywhere, even in unexpected places. We also plan group trips and spend time with family, so our year has plenty of social periods built in. For beginners, though, I'd recommend starting with established hubs. The community support makes a huge difference when you're figuring things out. And there are a few other smaller things I consider too. I look for at least a couple of restaurants and a grocery store within walking distance. I also love safe, pleasant places to walk, but those don't always go hand in hand. Bali has cafes everywhere, but the walking infrastructure isn't great. No sidewalks, hot, and loud. So we use ride shares more there, even if we're not going that far. Kevin has a Canadian passport and I have US and Italian, so we have to check entry and stay requirements across multiple citizenships. Easy visas mean visa on arrival, e-visa, or visa exempt for 30 days or more. Tougher visas, where you have to send your passport in or approval isn't guaranteed, we usually save those destinations for vacation. I love variety, affordable fresh ingredients, and good local food. It's not a deal breaker, but a good food scene definitely enhances the experience. This isn't important for every destination, but I like having access to nature at least occasionally. Bulgaria's hiking is one reason we keep going back. We don't factor healthcare in for every destination, but we do plan annual checkups. Last year, we did ours in Bangkok, and we'll probably do the same this year. We also see our dentist in Bulgaria every summer. Time zones aren't a huge consideration for me. I have most meetings 1 day a week, so no matter where I am, that's just a busy day for me, whether I'm staying up late or getting up early. But I know people with more meetings who are less flexible here. Beyond all these practical factors, there's also a qualitative score that's harder to define. It's the gut feeling. Would I return? Did this place just feel right? And that's not something you'll really know until you're there. For example, Kevin and I love Bonsko, Bulgaria. We go back every year. 2026 will be our 5th summer. But I have friends who spent time there and didn't love it. They thought it was too small, not enough going on, or they weren't into hiking. Similarly, we love Bangkok, but some friends find it too overwhelming and loud. The point is, what works for me might not work for you. That's why the best approach is to test places out. Spend a month somewhere, see how it feels. Don't commit to 6 months in a place you've never been before. And don't be afraid to trust your gut. Sometimes a place that looks great on paper just doesn't click. Sometimes a place that seems risky or unconventional, like Somaliland for us, ends up being an incredible experience and somewhere we'd go back to work from for longer. So that's my framework. Start with the big picture, evaluate the practical factors, and leave room for intuition and flexibility. After 12 years, I've learned that you don't need to overthink it. You just need a framework that helps you make smart decisions quickly. And the most important thing, actually go. Test it out. You'll learn more from a month in a place than you will from hours of research. If you're planning your next destination and you want more specific advice, drop a comment below and let me know where you're going.